to a royal shock that few could have imagined, a moment that felt less like modern history and more like a dramatic chapter torn straight from a centuries-old scandal. In the early morning hours, former senior royal Prince Andrew was taken into police custody, an event that instantly sent tremors through the monarchy, the media, and millions watching across the globe. The arrest, carried out quietly but decisively, happened at his residence on the Sandringham Estate, a place long associated with royal tradition and family gatherings, not criminal investigations. For many observers, the symbolism was impossible to ignore. A royal stronghold suddenly transformed into the center of a legal storm. Authorities confirmed the arrest took place in Norfolk, in the east of England, following weeks of mounting revelations tied to Andrew's controversial past connections. Police sources described coordinated investigative activity, including searches connected to allegations linked to disgraced financier Jeffrey Epstein, whose global trafficking scandal has continued to unravel powerful figures years after his death. The potential charges being examined reportedly carry a maximum penalty of life imprisonment under the laws of the United Kingdom, making the situation one of the most serious legal crises ever faced by a member of the modern royal family. News crews gathered within minutes, reporters shouting questions into the air as royal vehicles passed silently by. Just hours later, cameras captured senior royals continuing public engagements, projecting calm while speculation exploded worldwide. When asked about the arrest, King Charles III issued a brief but powerful statement: "The law must take its course." Those 6 words carried enormous weight, signaling a clear shift from past royal strategies that often relied on silence or distance. Palace insiders described the atmosphere as tense, stunned, and deeply unsettled. Andrew was reportedly held for questioning for less than 12 hours before being released pending further investigation, but the brevity of custody did little to ease public reaction. Legal experts quickly pointed out that temporary release does not diminish the seriousness of an inquiry, especially one involving allegations tied to misconduct in public office and historical associations now being re-examined under intense scrutiny. Outside royal residences, journalists pressed for answers, while inside palace walls, advisors were said to be scrambling to manage what many are calling an unprecedented reputational crisis. Royal commentators emphasized that nothing comparable has occurred in living memory. While scandals have touched the monarchy before, the idea of a senior royal facing potential life sentence allegations represents an entirely different scale of controversy. Observers noted how carefully choreographed appearances continued across the capital. The king appeared publicly during London Fashion Week, maintaining royal duty amid chaos, while queen engagements proceeded as scheduled. The message seemed deliberate: stability, continuity, and resilience, even as headlines suggested the institution itself was under siege. Behind the composed public image, however, insiders suggested crisis management teams were operating at full capacity. Royal tradition often demands a carry-on attitude during turmoil, yet analysts believe this moment has forced the palace into damage limitation mode. Comparisons quickly emerged to historic constitutional crises, moments when the monarchy's survival depended on carefully balancing accountability with public trust. The difference now is the modern media landscape, where every development spreads instantly and public patience for secrecy has dramatically declined. Attention soon turned toward Andrew's former wife, Sarah Ferguson, whose past associations resurfaced alongside renewed scrutiny of old financial ties and social connections. Though not accused of wrongdoing in the same way, commentators argued that reputational fallout could still be severe. Reports indicated she was abroad in the United Arab Emirates, attempting to maintain professional relationships while media coverage intensified. Analysts explained that even indirect links to Epstein's circle continue to carry enormous public consequences, particularly as investigators revisit long-ignored details. The scandal's roots stretch back years, but one pivotal moment remains impossible to forget: Andrew's disastrous television appearance defending himself against allegations. That interview, broadcast on BBC Newsnight, became widely viewed as a turning point in public opinion. Intended to clear his name, the interview instead triggered widespread criticism, with viewers questioning his judgment and tone. Media analysts now say that appearance fundamentally reshaped how the public perceived royal accountability. The controversy was later dramatized in the 2024 film Scoop, starring Gillian Anderson, which revisited the behind-the-scenes events leading up to that interview. The film renewed global interest in the scandal, introducing a new generation to the controversy and amplifying debate about privilege, power, and institutional protection. Ironically, what once seemed like a closed chapter suddenly feels like a prologue to an even larger unfolding story. Central to the allegations are claims made by Virginia Giuffre, whose accusations against Andrew he has consistently denied. Her death in 2025 reignited emotional reactions worldwide, and statements from her family following the arrest expressed relief that legal processes were continuing. Their message echoed a sentiment increasingly heard across social media, that accountability should apply equally regardless of status or title. The ripple effects of the arrest stretch far beyond one individual. For the monarchy, this moment tests decades of efforts to modernize its image and maintain relevance in a rapidly changing society. Public trust, once anchored in tradition and symbolism, now depends heavily on transparency. Analysts suggest younger generations are far less willing to separate royal identity from personal conduct, meaning the outcome of this case could influence how the institution evolves moving forward. Within royal circles, attention has also shifted to Prince William, widely seen as the future face of the monarchy. Observers believe pressure will grow on senior royals to address questions directly, rather than rely on carefully scripted silence. Public appearances in the coming weeks may become defining moments where even brief remarks could shape public perception for years to come. Meanwhile, investigators continue examining properties and records, searching for evidence that could either strengthen or weaken potential charges. Legal commentators warn that such inquiries often take months, even years, to reach resolution. Yet in the court of public opinion, judgment forms far more quickly. Social media debates, televised panels, and endless commentary cycles have already transformed the case into one of the most discussed royal controversies of the century. Another layer complicating the story is Andrew's long-standing association with Epstein's private island, Little St. James, often referenced in media investigations into Epstein's network. While Andrew has denied wrongdoing, renewed focus on travel records and historical interactions continue to fuel speculation. Experts note that modern investigative techniques, combined with evolving legal standards, mean past events are increasingly subject to renewed examination. For royal supporters, the arrest represents a painful moment that challenges loyalty and tradition. For critics, it symbolizes a long-awaited reckoning. Either way, the situation marks a cultural turning point. The monarchy, once viewed as untouchable, now faces scrutiny similar to any public institution operating under democratic expectations. As cameras continue to follow every royal movement, one question dominates conversations worldwide: what happens next? Legal proceedings could reshape not only Andrew's personal future, but also the monarchy's global reputation. A conviction would represent an unprecedented moment in British history. Even prolonged investigations could leave lasting scars on public perception. In the coming months, the royal family's strategy will likely focus on reinforcing duty and stability, emphasizing charitable work, public service, and continuity. Yet the shadow of the investigation will remain impossible to ignore. Each appearance, each statement, and each silence will be analyzed for meaning. What began as whispers years ago has now erupted into a defining crisis, blending legal drama, historical symbolism, and modern accountability. The arrest has already rewritten expectations about how royalty interacts with justice. Whether this moment ultimately becomes a story of institutional resilience or irreversible change remains uncertain. But one truth is undeniable. The image of a prince facing potential life sentence has permanently altered the narrative surrounding the British monarchy. And as investigators move forward, the world watches closely, waiting to see whether this chapter becomes a cautionary tale, a turning point, or the beginning of a new era in which even the highest titles offer no shield from the law.